Can I explain to you that this is when running...
You don't need to explain it to me. I know how it works.
But no, you don't, because
Actually,
when you...
I do. I've done it multiple times.
But yeah, that's in the private sector. And you cannot run...
This is worse than private sector.
You cannot run everyday government the same way you run the...
Fat, dripping with waste government?
I'm not talking about fat, dripping with waste government.
What do we have?
What if I told you in the South, right now, in red states, do you know the #1 cause...
What does this have to do with red or blue?
Can I finish my question? Do you know the #1 cause for children underperforming in schools right now?
Bad educators.
No, hungry.
In this video, Kevin O'Leary gets shut down by Bakari Sellers over this heated CNN debate. Bakari just straight up goes at Kevin O'Leary for acting like the government's some corporate boardroom. Kevin's talking about cutting programs like he's trimming a business budget, and Bakari's like, nah, you can't treat people like line items on a spreadsheet. The second Bakari brings up kids in red states struggling just to eat, Kevin hits him with that smug bad educators line. And that's when it really flips. It's tense, raw, and honestly, Bakari just drags him back to reality in front of everyone. So make sure to watch till the end to see how Kevin O'Leary gets shut down by Bakari Sellers over this heated CNN debate.
Hey, I'm Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. No reservations. Tonight, the president is saying that he is unconcerned and unbothered by the market meltdown, even as you are trying desperately not to look at your 401k right at this very moment.
Mr. President, when you look at the market selling off, that didn't concern you, and
Nope,
where do you see it
doesn't
going?
concern me. I think some people are going to make great deals by buying stocks and bonds and all the things they're buying. I think we're going to have an economy that's a real economy, not a fake economy.
Do you and your tariff policies right now bear any responsibility for the turmoil we're seeing this week?
Biden gave us a horrible economy. He gave us horrible inflation. And I think the market was going to go very, very bad.
That is a very different story than the one being told by investors or by economists or Canadians.
I just feel when it's at a fever pitch and we see the market tumbling over $4 trillion, inflation happening, uncertainty and consumer confidence is down. It's not about backing down. It's about sitting around the table and negotiating a fair deal, because right now, no one likes uncertainty.
Kevin, Trump's got your people very mad up there in Canada. This back and forth with Canada seems to be leading to the place that he could have gotten if he had just said, hey, Canada, let's sit down and renegotiate USMCA 3 weeks ago without, dropping the stock market 10%.
Abby, you've been watching and listening to Trump for 12 years. Do you think he's going to change? You have to distinguish between the noise and the signal. The signal that Trump's put out multiple times is what an incredible economic union could be formed if we eradicated tariffs and joined the two economies, not buying the country and just making Canadians Americans. Sovereignty's off the table.
I don't want to rewrite the words that Trump himself has said out of his own mouth. He said two things. He believes in an economy that is powered by tariffs. He believes in tariffs, not that it's a negotiating tool. He wants the tariffs because he wants the money. The second thing that he said is that, who knows if this is real, but he keeps repeating it. He wants Canada to be the 51st state. So why are you asking us to ignore what Trump is saying?
Because you've been watching Trump for 12 years. If you can't
and I don't ignore what he says anymore because he tends to do the things that he says.
You got to listen. You got to listen for the signal outside of the noise. He's bombastic. He says outrageous things. But from all that comes an interesting opportunity. In Canada, you've got the United States of America, the largest consumer market on earth, and Canada, the richest country on earth with everything everybody needs every day. You don't have to buy the country, and they're not selling their sovereignty, but if you get an economic union with no tariffs and maybe a common currency and maybe a common passport and maybe something that could be done around making sure that everything is equalized, China will never catch up. And I think that's the opportunity. So even 3 hours ago, before I got here, Ford, who was talking about cutting off electricity, changed his mind. We're in a narrative of negotiation.
Well, I think both sides backed down and they went to the negotiating table, which is, frankly, where they should have been in the first place.
Abby, it's kumbaya.
So, right from the start, Abby's doing what she always does best, keeping things grounded and real. She's setting the stage, talking about the market dropping, people panicking over their 401ks, and Trump acting like it's nothing. Then Kevin slides in with his trademark smugness, trying to act like there's some deep signal behind Trump's chaos. Like, bro, Trump literally said he likes tariffs because they make money. There's no 4D chess here. It's just greed and ego mixed with terrible economics. Abby pushes back perfectly. She's calm but sharp, reminding Kevin that Trump himself said he believes in tariffs not as leverage but as policy. She's basically saying you can't keep pretending he's secretly a genius negotiator when he flat out tells you what he's doing. And that's what makes Kevin's response so weak. He dodges with that "you've been watching him for 12 years" line like it's some kind of profound insight. No, dude, it just means we've had a decade of proof that Trump's not strategic. He's impulsive. Then Kevin goes on that weird tangent about merging the US and Canada, common currency, common passport, economic union, all that. Like, what is he even talking about? It's such a typical billionaire fantasy, turning two entire nations into one business deal. No mention of jobs, workers, sovereignty, or even the chaos that would cause. Abby's sitting there holding it together, but you can tell she's seconds away from saying what everyone's thinking, that Kevin's living in some capitalist dream world where borders, economies, and human lives are just negotiations.
But it's not. It's the problem with that is, one, I mean, when I have my good Republican friends at the table, the first thing they like to do is talk about the Biden economy, and I have to remember that if we had a sharp decline in the stock market under Joe Biden, then their hair would be on fire. It would be on Fox News 24/7. They would come in here and tell us that Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel. That's first. The second thing is, while Donald Trump has this uncertainty, and it's not just the uncertainty of the Trump administration, it's also the uncertainty of whether or not you're going to pass a CR, which Mike Johnson was able to do today. It's the uncertainty of what they're going to do next with tariffs, et cetera. But who gets lost in that? It's those people who have 401ks. It's those people who have retirements. I mean, it's those people who have money in the market to save for a rainy day. And so I got a great deal of respect for you. You know more about money than most. But to say that those people aren't being caught up in that whirlwind is just, I mean, that is a fact. While we're gaming out what Donald Trump says, the fact is the market lost his ass, and it's Donald Trump's fault.
You think the market's going to go down forever?
Well, no, the markets go down and up.
Yeah, but last time we were here,
So you're saying that people have 401ks. You're saying they're having a meltdown. I mean, the market will go up and down, and it will go up. And over time, the United States stock market has done quite well. So, I mean, the president's been acknowledging he's expecting some short-term turbulence in the market, but I wouldn't measure the health of the stock market over a short period of time.
I'm actually measuring the health of the economy, one, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks since he's been there.
We brought up 401ks. I just wanted to answer that.
But no, and I'm with you. But I can also, I mean, that is a very true sentiment. And actually, there are going to be a lot of people who text me tomorrow and be like, there ain't enough people who have money in the stock market, so it's not an issue that trickles down. So that could be another issue as well. But what I am saying is that the uncertainty, this tariff this morning by the afternoon is off. That is not a way to govern.
Well, I mean, and to the points you guys are talking about, that is directly controlled by the president. So the market will be up, the market will be down, but the president and the way he's going about the tariffs, he's directly influencing the way the market is moving. So the question is not whether or not the market will stay up or down, but whether or not Donald Trump will get consistent on tariffs and his economic plan soon so that people don't have this uncertainty.
I also think I'm looking at this from a different perspective for people who actually don't even have 401ks. There's a whole constituency of people who don't have retirement plans, don't have disposable income to buy stocks when they are down, because they are literally living paycheck to paycheck. And many of those individuals voted for Donald Trump. And I don't think you're right, man. What the president is saying is causing instability in the market. Now, last week we were at this table and the market had dipped again, or before, twice last week. And it was like, well, it's one day. Now we're like 3 or 4 days in because of the language. So I think there are some people who will benefit from probably people like Elon Musk, probably people who have the luxury to not just have a 401k, but have some extra cash on the side to make the most when the market goes down and they can buy stocks. But then there is this whole set of people in middle America, that working class person that doesn't have that luxury, and what is happening to them. And prices are still high. I get it, it's been 6 weeks, but prices are still high. And the social safety net programs that they often use are at risk.
Now, one thing is true, eggs are down. Eggs are now cheaper than they were when Trump came in. Everybody's been whining about eggs. Eggs are now a little cheaper.
Killing the chicken
Hang
eggs
on.
are down. Killing the chicken.
I mean, maybe they're down a little bit, but they're
No.
still A, not available.
Look it up.
And B,
Well, we have
they
to grow
still
more
cost-
chickens, but eggs have
They
gotten
still
cheaper.
cost more than $5 a dozen. Okay.
So Bakari drills into something Kevin and Scott keep dodging: uncertainty. Trump's flip-flopping on tariffs, saying one thing in the morning and another by the afternoon, that's not some genius negotiation tactic, that's chaos. Investors hate that. Regular people with savings hate that. It's not complicated. When the president's mouth moves, markets shake, and Van nails it when he says the issue isn't about the market being up or down, it's about whether Trump can even stay consistent long enough to stop scaring people's money away. Ashley comes in and just drops the human side of the whole thing. The people who don't even have 401ks, who are literally living paycheck to paycheck. She's reminding everyone that the market isn't real life for most Americans. Like, yeah, Elon Musk can buy the dip, but the average family can't even afford a carton of eggs. Scott trying to brag about egg prices going down is just tone deaf. It's the kind of out-of-touch talking point that shows how far removed these guys are from the people actually feeling the squeeze.
But speaking of regular everyday Americans, one of the things that's been going on, in addition to all of this uncertainty, is that the cuts continue to affect real people. Here is the Agriculture Secretary talking about $1 billion in cuts to food banks and food programs that benefit United States schools.
USDA cancels $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks. How do you justify that?
Well, listen, I think it's really important, and of course the left is doing what the left does. These were COVID-era programs. These were additional funds. Right now, from what we are viewing, that program was non-essential, that it was a new program, and that it was an effort by the left to continue spending taxpayer dollars that were not necessary.
Man.
Whew. You guys, it is cynical out there when we're talking about kids eating. And
That's
politics.
not what that was about.
It was funny. Wasn't funny. During COVID, one of the main things that we all came together to do was to deal with the instability that kids who weren't in schools were going.
We're not at COVID anymore.
I understand that, but if you think that child hunger is an issue of the past,
Always been an issue,
and it's an issue now, so I just don't see how you make a case to the American people, same American people that have been struggling, according to the right, for a couple of years now, that there is anything to be gained by cutting off food.
We are not in a COVID
That program is
economy.
also one.
I don't think we're cutting enough.
But
I
that
think we should
program
cut
is also one
20%
that
more.
benefits not just the recipients, but also the farmers that are there able
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
purchase from. That's the main reason it's a DO, Department of Agriculture.
This issue is not going to go away because it's very contentious. But when you cut in any organization, government or private, it's very demoralizing. It's traumatic, and it gets lots of bad press, as we're doing right now. But that's why you cut 20% more. I think Elon's not cutting enough. Cut 20% more now. Get your spreadsheet out. These are the names. Whack everybody, and then 20% more, as we do in the private sector every day and have done for 100 years in private equity, and hire back when the organization gels. That way, the demoralization only happens once. You don't want to cut multiple times. More whacking. Let me just,
can I explain to you that this is when running.
You don't need to explain it to me. I know how it works.
But no, you don't, because
Actually, I do. I've done it multiple times.
But yeah, that's in the private sector, and you cannot run.
This is worse than private sector.
You cannot run everyday government the same way you run the
fat dripping with waste government.
I'm not talking about fat dripping with waste government.
What do we have?
If I told you in the South right now in red states, do you know the number one cause?
What does this have to do with red or blue?
Can I finish my question? Do you know the number one cause for children underperforming in schools right now?
bad educators.
No,
hungry.
As a
They're
former-
hungry.
No, let me finish.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Let me finish.
I actually,
No,
my
but-
whole
but
career
that's-
was in education.
No,
That's my point of bringing that up to you.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you had things like the free and reduced lunch program. You have the summer lunch program.
Yes.
You have programs that were expanded so kids could actually. So I'm not arguing with you about your expertise in the private sector, but what I am saying is that a 20% cut or whack, you're cutting from Allendale Fairfax High School and Birmingham High School.
Okay.
You're cutting from places that really matter.
You want to talk about high schools in America? That's what I did for 14 years.
And wrapping this up, Bakari just bodies Kevin here, and it's not even close. Kevin's out here talking about cut 20% more like we're trimming a hedge, while Bakari's reminding him that those cuts literally take food off kids' plates. When Van and Ashley jump in, you can feel how detached Kevin's logic is. He's treating hunger like a spreadsheet error. And when Bakari finally snaps back with, "You can't run government like a business," that's the mic drop. Because that's exactly the problem. People like Kevin think efficiency means cruelty. It's the perfect contrast. Bakari's defending people who depend on these programs, while Kevin's defending a system that sees them as costs. That's where the bias creeps in. And speaking of biases, are you getting tired of biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and the other says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story, so you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.